Hey guys, Eric Quinn here, BPI Q&A Fridays and the weekly announcements. I didn't receive any questions this week, so I'm going to go ahead with the weekly announcements. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about the confidentiality agreement or non-disclosure agreement, and I want to go over a little bit about that today. Number one, it's important for you to understand how this works, why it works, and what you need to do to protect yourself. Any client, and I'll say it again, any client worth its weight in salt, when you execute a contract with them, somewhere in that contract is a confidentiality or non-disclosure clause within that contract. If you're doing consulting work, let's say a threat assessment or a site assessment, the confidentiality will protect the product, which is the end result of your work. So that means anything that you gleaned from doing the assessment, anything that you've gleaned from prior to doing the assessment, that you've been given information you've been privy to from the client prior to you actually doing the assessment, all of that is confidential, which means that you can't speak about it. Anybody that you subcontract under you has to have a agreement from you to them saying that they can't speak about it, to even include the contract itself. And let me repeat that, to include the contract itself, which means that if you have a contract with the client and that clause is in there, you can't even speak that you have that you're working for XYZ Corporation. That's important because anybody that works under you, under the contract that you've signed with that client, has to have the same confidentiality or non-disclosure agreement done to them from your company. Because this contract that you signed with that client covers anybody that you bring in on the job or that you use. Remember that. Number two, if you're under contract with a client to do protective services, within that contract, and sometimes, let me make a side note here, sometimes the confidentiality agreements or non-disclosure agreements are a separate contract within the contract that you are executing with them for services. On protective services side, the confidential or non-disclosure agreement will have specifics as to what part of that detail cannot be discussed. They may even have all the kids' names in there, the spouses' names in there, workplace, etc., which means that everything within that contract has to remain confidential. It is your responsibility to translate that information to whomever, whether it's full-time employees, contract specialists, or whomever under that contract fall under the umbrella of that contract, and you're responsible for it. What do I do? Number one, I make all of my guys, whether they're full-time employees or contractors, sign a confidentiality agreement, number one, to protect the relationship that we have. It really doesn't matter if they go out and say, I'm working for BPI. But what does matter is I don't want them to just spewing out who they're protecting or what client that we're working on. That's confidential, because oftentimes many of these clients don't even want people to know that they're using security. Number two, my confidentiality agreements with them means that they can't discuss the contract or the inner workings of the contract to include rates, because everybody's not getting paid the same rates. Guys who come in on the ground level don't get the same amount of money as guys who've worked their way up the tier level to maybe, let's say, a tier 1. A tier 5 guy is not going to make the same amount of money as a guy at the top level, and that's just the nature of the beast. So understand that where this industry has gone awry is that we have guys and companies out there not implementing these confidentiality agreements, and these guys are running amok. They know they haven't signed that, so they have full autonomy to go and speak about these clients, the secrets of the clients, etc. So if you're not using a confidentiality agreement or non-disclosure agreement, either one, it all means the same. It basically means to shut your mouth. If you're not using them, you need to start today. As I said before, everybody uses different versions of them. There are plenty of them on the internet. Most clients who are worth their weight in salt will already have them in their clauses. They'll just tweak them to the specific services that you're going to be providing for that specific time period. So if you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with me. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, or thumbs down on the video, but leave your comments. If there's anything else that you want me to discuss, obviously I have a slew of things that I can go over, and I will continue to bring up those topics to keep trying to professionalize this industry one specialist at a time. But if there's anything that you want me to talk about or anything you want to talk offline about, My phone is always open. My email is always open. Don't hesitate to call me or email me. We can keep it between the two of us, as I've done in the past with other specials or other companies that has helped them along the line. All right. Have a good weekend. Be safe. And remember, I'm going to say this every time. Whenever you're on a detail, there are two protectees. The person in the back right seat and your reputation. Either one of them get hurt, you're done.